All right, coming up next, we're going to dive into the real estate market. This guy's been in the business for 20 years. He just spoke on stage in front of 2,500 realtors at our Sales Mastery event. Tim Skoglin, I always say he's the guy I would use if I was selling my house, joins us in studio right now. All right, now joining us in studio, this guy has been in the business for over 20 years. He has his hands on buyers and sellers, and he's just an amazing realtor, true market expert. Joining us in studio, Tim Skoglin. Good to have you here, man.
Nice to be here, Craig. Thanks.
So the potential mayor of Coronado is just here, Richard Bailey. You actually have a listing in Coronado right now. Not a bad area.
Yeah, David and Rachel Klein, good friends of mine. She actually has been working with me for many years. He's a head of Navy radiology at Balboa Naval Hospital. So
wow.
333 B Avenue, and we just shot a video that'll hit the marketplace.
I was going to ask, do you market differently when you're doing Coronado versus Poway versus East County? I mean, because I know you cover a wide range, obviously.
Yeah, we just try to do something that's a little organic for each of those different areas. And instead of just doing pictures to music, certainly the experience that you've helped me to get comfortable in front of the camera here has helped, but to take a camera crew out there, film the home and give a tour and show some of the highlights of each property is beneficial.
Awesome. Well, you just spoke on stage in front of 2,500 realtors. Many look up to you as a mentor in the business. You have a family-owned business, been doing it for 20 years. But I know that you give a lot of thanks to people who have mentored you. And I saw on social media that you actually lost someone. I figured we'd share the story.
Yeah, Jim Santangelo was a broker. He owned a brokerage called My Real Estate and Mortgage up in Encinitas with his two sons, Jimmy and Robert. And I went through kind of a tough time with a brokerage in Carmel Valley where previous broker died, and it was sudden, and I didn't know what I was going to do after the service. And one of the other agents that worked there was sharing a backyard with one of the sons, and he said, "My dad would like to talk to you guys." And I remember going in there to interview, and he brought me in, asked me a few questions. I had my tie on, my resume, and he said, "You think for 1 minute somebody with my experience and with my busy schedule is going to sit down and waste my time interviewing you and not have checked you out before?" And he said, "Show up on Monday ready to work. Don't ever wear a tie in my office again, and welcome to the team."
We lost the tie.
But we lost the tie. But we went from that to, he was at our wedding, told my dad, "If ever you guys don't want him, I'll adopt him as my third son." So
wow.
We had that kind of relationship, and he really preached balance in life. You know, he shared with me mistakes that he thought he had made, and made me promise him not to show up at the ninth inning of Blake's baseball game or the tail end of the recital for my daughter's dance class. He said, "If you're supposed to be there, that's family and you can't get that back."
Wow.
And the clients, when you share with them that this is something that's a priority, I don't think anybody has a problem showing up an hour earlier or 2 hours later to work around your commitment to being a dad.
I think you'd be proud. I've got to know you pretty well. I've seen your balance as a husband, as a father.
Thank you.
And certainly as a professional in the real estate business, doing a great job. And your numbers prove it, and the market really respects you. So
yeah,
sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
But let's talk about the real estate business if we can, right?
Yeah.
So you've been doing this thing for 20 years now.
Yeah.
Tell us about, let's start real quickly with the market. How is the market?
Fairly strong. We were kind of working our way through kind of an April-May stagnant market. I had a lot of listings that just sat still, not a lot of showings, no offers. And for those people that sat still and just were a little bit patient and didn't start hacking at their price every 20 days, we're now receiving offers, sometimes multiple offers.
Interesting.
Good, strong people with good financing credentials, and they're moving. So we've seen it really pick up. End of May, beginning of June. Anything that's been sitting around is getting eaten up.
So a key element is price.
For sure, always.
So how do you identify the right price? Can you explain value range pricing? I know that that's a way that agents tend to market properties. Do you like it? Is that how you market your properties? What do you think on that?
I think it's different for each micro market. So certainly what we do, just as an insight, is look at the last 3 to 6 months of comparable sales. Certainly starting within a neighborhood, within a building, or wherever the subject property is located. We do the same thing an appraiser would do for a bank appraisal. And that is to say, for the square footage, the bedroom bathroom count, and the pluses and minuses, views or incurable defects like power lines backing up to a busy street. You add or subtract value based on the location of the property. And that's how we determine value, current fair market value.
So let's say you're going to list something $1 million,
okay.
right? Often agents will list it for $999,000 to 1.1.
Sure.
And the consumer, I'm sure people that are watching here today will look and say, well, which is it?
Right.
I don't know too many people that say, well, all right, let's list the highest level, right? What sense
Right.
does that make? But you also want to get your offer accepted, and if you're low inventory, you're getting a lot of offers. So explain, first of all, do you like that methodology? What's the why behind it, and is it something that you believe in?
Sure, yeah. So my newsletter piece for June, I just wrote a whole topic section about this. This was the topic for the newsletter. And doing a little research, because I couldn't really remember when this started showing up, but I just knew that buyers were all of a sudden like, why would I ever offer the high price when it says right here, this lower number? But it looks like since about 1996, that's when we started seeing this a little more often. And that directly correlates with when we started using the internet more to share what's in our MLS and to disseminate information more openly than what it used to be. We used to use listing books, kind of dating myself now, fax, MLS input sheets.
Game's changed a little bit now.
Game has changed.
Hell, you brought your iPad with you.
Yeah, we're both feeding right off.
I got a phone here. It's a sickness, but I mean, it's
feeding off of the wireless technology.
It's a great thing, but you know what? The truth is, and I was just having a conversation with one of my mentors about this. Is it still comes back to the handshake?
Yep.
Right. All the ways you can connect with people, it still comes down to people are going to do business with you if they like you and they trust you, and especially on real estate, right?
For sure.
Your biggest investment. So don't get caught up in all the online stuff. There can be great information, but the professional is the most important element. A lot of times people think that you can skip over that on this topic even. But go ahead, sorry.
So, so in utilizing the internet, we have people that, as studies come out with NAR, San Diego Board of Realtors, we see Realtor.com, Zillow, they put out these studies. 5 to 6 weeks before somebody even engages with a real estate professional, they're already online looking at different neighborhoods.
Yep.
And oftentimes they'll go to a mortgage calculator or guesstimate what they think they're going to be approved for. And that's where the value range really does well, because what happens is we get more hits online for our listing if we have a span. And we can also, if you understand financing, because I did financing and sales together for 16 of the 21 years I've been at this, understanding financing, I know that that person that's that $1 million buyer can afford a little bit more. They usually have the job history, the savings, the credentials to qualify for more.
Right.
And they might say, hey, given that this one has an ocean view or has a pool or is on the brighter side of the street or is in a cul-de-sac, maybe it's worth it for me to take the jump to go an extra 25, 50, 75 grand, especially with these low interest rates, and see if I don't purchase the property.
So Tim, let's say you knew you wanted to sell it for $1 million.
Right.
And then you're going to make this price range like this.
Right.
Is it more to attract the guy here and when he inquires to show, hey, you can actually afford here? Or is it more for the seller where you're trying to drive the price up because you know if he's coming in here, he might be able to afford more? Or is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit
of both. Does that question even make sense?
It does, yeah. No, it is a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So it's taking that person that might be cutting off at $975 and saying, if you're a $975 buyer and my seller might take $980, $1 million, $1,010,000, $1,020,000, you're right there. I mean, why not view the property, come tour it with us, see if it's something that makes sense.
So if someone's making an offer on that type of property, a buyer's making an offer, what advice would you give them specifically?
It's a great question. Okay. So that's where you have to start out with an experienced agent to help you.
On your side.
On your side, helping you with the buy. Because the weak agent just says, buyer says, I want to make the offer at $975. I'm not going a penny above that. That's what it says on my sheet.
Yep.
And you need to be able to say that this is not a price. This is value range marketing.
Yep.
Take that whole range and chuck it in the trash can, and I'll go right back to what you asked me before. How do you evaluate a property? Look at the last 3 to 6 months of comparable sales. They're all one number. And say, hey, given a tit for tat and a comparison price-wise for what's sold recently, where is value? And then work off of that. The bottom end might be $975, but the value might be more $1,025,000, $1,050,000, which is still in that range.
Interesting.
And work off of real value and have a reason for why you're making the offer. Back it with comparable sales, not something that's on the...
So I think ultimately it's something that agents are doing with their seller to make the property a little bit more marketable, get more offers, find people that could afford more than they realize, which creates more opportunity for offers that you're going through.
And the ultimate
goal...
So
it's a strategy.
Yeah, the ultimate goal for a seller is what? To have multiple offers at the same time to review, hopefully early on in the process when the listing is new, to then maximize profit.
Well, and sometimes the highest offer isn't even the best offer.
It's
right?
not, yeah.
Tim Skoglin, the guy's been doing this for a long time. I always say he's the most analytical. He knows the business so well. If you're looking to buy or sell, he's a great guy to connect with. And thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah,
I know that's a deep story, and I appreciate
Thank
you
you.
sharing it. All right, Tim Skoglin, one of the best in the business, and there's